All right, time for coaster report. So, aka what I did on my summer vacation. Um, so you might notice I've been gone for a week, 2 weeks. I was on vacation, and while I was gone, we went to a theme park, and we're here to tell you all about it on a super exciting edition of the Coaster Report. I'm joined, but today by introduce yourself here.
Oh, hi. My name
Hi.
is my name is Evan. I'm Andrew's brother. I was also at this amusement park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if you are saying to yourself, "I've never heard of Six Flags Darien Lake," you're not alone because I hadn't heard of it either until like 2 weeks ago. Um, but it's in New York, which is where we were. We were at the Finger Lakes region, which is in like western New York, middle of nowhere. Um, and it just so happens that there is an amusement park about an hour to the west, hour and a half. I don't remember how far it was. Pretty close by. Conveniently, on the way to the Buffalo airport, where you needed to go to fly home
Yup.
back to Seattle.
Confirmed.
So it just so happened that the rental house we were at, we needed to be out by 10. So we just drive to Darien Lake, had a fun day at the theme park, and then drop you guys off the airport, and we drove back to Ohio, and it worked out real nice. So, um, like I said, I hadn't heard of the park really. I don't know. I didn't know much about it until just a few weeks ago, and didn't really know what to expect. So we just kind of planned the trip, just kind of ad hoc. But I think it worked out pretty well. So
Yeah, I would say so.
yeah. So we're just gonna go ahead and kind of go through, show you some photos, talk about the rides we went on, do a little bit of review thing. If you were here for the last coaster report, 'cause it'd be the same thing anyway. Um, so yeah. We got there right when it opened at 11, because currently in September they're on like restricted fall hours off season. They're only open on Saturdays and Sundays. But we got there right at 11 when the doors opened, and it was like empty. It was pretty amazing. So we were able to just get on ride after ride after ride, pretty much. Um, and it was pretty great. So first thing we went on is like one of the big rides they had there, Ride of Steel. It's an Intamin hypercoaster built in 1999, and we're probably gonna compare a lot of these coasters to Cedar Point coasters because that's what we're familiar with, really. And this is kind of like a baby Millennium, I guess. Built a year before Millennium Force was, same manufacturer. And first ride of the day, walked right on, 0 hour wait, 0 minute wait. Um, and yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Doesn't quite live up to standards set by Millennium Force, but it's not bad. It's nice and tall, goes pretty fast. The layout leaves a little something to be desired. Maybe there's like a lot of big helixes that don't really do a whole lot, but thought it was pretty fun anyway.
Hey, I
Uh,
thought those helixes were kind of unique. I feel like
uh
we don't see many coasters with helixes like that.
that's true. That is true, but
I still think that one helix would have been sweet. The second one was not necessary.
second one was unnecessary. Yeah, it was kind of a straightforward layout. Um, but still a pretty fun ride. Also, it was the first ride I ever seen with a not the first ride I've seen with a height maximum, but definitely the lowest height maximum that we've seen. Um,
Oh yeah.
so fun fact. So of the four people in our party that went, two of us, not me, were over 6'4" tall. Which is the height maximum on the ride. And the first time we rode the ride, first thing in the morning, I guess the operators hadn't quite woken up yet. They hadn't noticed. So all of us got to ride the ride. We rode again later in the day, and they stopped the loading process twice, to kick you off and to kick our dad off because they were both too tall.
Yep.
It was the saddest thing in the world.
It was. Yeah, it had never ever happened before. This is the
Yeah.
first time that has ever happened.
So, uh, yeah. So
And
make
yes,
sure if you are.
allocate. That is Andrew in the picture there.
Yeah, that's
Correct.
that's me in that bottom photo. All the photos you're gonna see were either taken by me or Evan. Um, I haven't included any stock photos this time around, so it's a little bit more personal or something, I guess.
I think
Uh,
we're hearing thunder out here, which is weird. We never hear thunder in Seattle. This is crazy.
well, I
The
don't hear
end
it on my end.
times, the end times are upon us.
Oh no. All right. Well, make sure you're indoors. But yeah, overall, pretty good ride. I gave it a B plus on my little grading scale. I don't know, Evan, if you have a different opinion.
I think B plus is pretty fair.
Pretty fair. All right, cool.
Honestly, like I do understand why there was that height limit. It was kind of hard to fit my knees inside of the thing.
Yeah.
Um, and it wasn't super comfortable because of that. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know why, but these cars were definitely a little bit smaller than on the Millennium Force.
It.
And so had
Yeah.
this had Millennium Force coaster cars, it would have been, I think, an A at that point. But
Yeah. Everything was just a little bit scaled down compared to Millennium. Is weird. All right, let's move along. The next thing we rode was the Boomerang Coast to Coaster, and guess what kind of coaster it is? It's a Vekoma Boomerang. Wow. One of like 50-ish boomerangs installed around the world, so nothing too unique about this one. Um, these don't have a stellar reputation. I've ridden one of these before. There was one at Jogga Lake. I forget where it's located now. This one was
I'll get that for
actually
you.
um, the one at Darien Lake is not terrible. That's about the best review I can give of it. Doesn't shake you around a whole lot, but it's a boomerang. You go back and forth. You go through a cobra roll and a loop, and you do it again backwards. Not
Okay. The old Mind Eraser from Geauga Lake is now at Carowinds. Another reason we need to go there.
Carowinds. Yeah, that's another reason we need to go to Carowinds. One of these days we're gonna get there. All right, fun facts. But yeah, so this one we rode on it twice just because both times it was like a walk on because the park was pretty empty in the morning. But not a fantastic ride. But considering that we had the time and there's not much else going on, it wasn't bad. So I gave it a C plus, and I think that's more than fair.
The first time we rode it and we sat in the back, I would give it a B. But then the second time we rode it and we sat in the front, I would definitely give it a C, maybe
Yeah,
C
the
minus.
the back is 100% better than the front. That is true.
Oh yeah.
You could definitely tell a difference on a ride like this, back versus front. Ghost Runner 1 asked plastic seats in the Boomerang. I'm pretty sure they were pretty hard plastic. Not a lot of padding. I don't remember exactly what the seats were like.
They were definitely hard plastic, yes.
Okay. All right, next on the list, I'm going to include some non-coasters in this list because unlike Cedar Point, there's like 6 coasters at Darien Lake. And so we had time to ride some non-coaster stuff. So we also rode the Skyscreamer, which is it's like a really big swing ride. There's one at Cedar Point called Windseeker, which is supposed to be really good. I don't think I've ever ridden it. So we rode this one because it was another walk on, whatever. Just a swing ride. You go in a circle, you go up and down. And it actually was pretty good. Not a whole lot to say about it. A lot of just going in circles, so you get, some continuous G-forces on it. But overall, it was actually pretty fun considering because it's really tall. You get some great views of the surrounding area in the park. So I thought this one's good. I gave it a B. I would probably go on it again next time we went, if we ever go again.
I would agree. I kind of enjoyed it a little bit more than Windseeker just because of it felt more intense.
Yeah. I don't know if I have any comparison with Windseeker because I don't think I've ridden it, but yeah, it was intense-ish, yeah, for a non-coaster ride.
So the
So
thing about Windseeker is that it's got hard metal arms rather than chains,
mm-hmm.
and the chains would definitely swing a lot more. The hard metal arms were very controlled and very rigid, and yeah, you were
Okay.
still high up and you could still see down, and I think there was an overhead harness. This on the other
This
hand had
it had
no
like
such
the
head harness.
it had like the really skinny metal bars that moved up and down the
Yeah,
chain links, like you're on like one of like a fun like a county fair yo-yo ride.
and a
Um,
seatbelt.
and a seatbelt, but it was still really tall. So
Yeah,
I don't know. That was funny.
definitely
Anyway,
more intense for sure.
yeah, good ride though. Would recommend. Then, so one of the more interesting coasters we rode is the Moto Coaster. A Zamperla Moto is, I guess, the name of the ride. They've only built like 8 of these in the whole world. Most of them were in China, I think. There's only a
Wait,
couple.
really?
Yeah, if you look on RCDB, there's only a few of them listed, and a lot of them are just like in China. And most of them have horses instead of motorcycles for the cars. So this one is super unique. If you ever find a coaster like this out there in the world, definitely give it a shot because you'll never experience something like this again, probably. So the cars, instead of sitting down in a normal seat in a normal train like you would, you're riding a motorcycle. You're sitting on a little motorcycle seat. You're pitched forward. You grab handlebars. There's no seat belts. There's no straps. There's like a restraint that closes around your legs and a seat that flips up behind you and presses your back against the front, like sandwiches you in, and that's it. But it doesn't go very fast, and there's no inversions or anything. It has what is called a flywheel launch. Power launch. It takes you right out of the launch thing up a hill, and you go around in a couple circles, and that's it. It's not a super intense ride. There's not a lot to it, but it's just very unique, and I've never seen anything like it before. And it was a lot of fun. We rode it twice. This one was the first time we had to actually wait because it doesn't get a huge throughput. But it was pretty good. It was one of the better rides for sure. I give this one a B plus.
I Yeah, B plus is fair. I told them at the park I definitely think it should be longer. This ride, I don't think Andrew mentioned this. This ride was actually used as the prototype unit built by Zamperla in Italy,
Hmm.
and then once they proved the concept, they packed it up and shipped it over to the States.
Yeah,
And it definitely kind of feels like that because the entire thing was just kind of sitting on piers, like in
yeah,
a big concrete yard, so it was kind of lame.
yeah. It wasn't
Uh,
like built into the ground. It was like there's
yeah,
like pallets set up around in this big cleared out space. It looks like you could probably pick the whole thing up and ship it somewhere else if you really wanted to.
I think
Um,
the concept is fantastic, and given a little bit better execution, uh, like I would love to see these trains on Maverick. Essentially, that would be amazing. I
that
would
would be
love
pretty
that.
sweet.
Um, or something like a Eurofighter. I don't know.
Hmm.
I feel like there is a lot of potential here, and I wish this would take off. Like the Tron coaster over in Tokyo Disney's, or maybe it's Disney Shanghai. Really cool, kind of similar concept, done way better than this. Uh, but this was still a very enjoyable
Yeah,
experience.
super fun. Um, but yeah, if I'll have to look up and see where the other if there's other coasters like this in the U.S. Uh, if they're even like accessible, easy to get to. But very cool stuff though. All right, let's move along. The next one on the list is Viper, an Aero custom looper built in 1982. This is one of their bigger layouts compared to some of the smaller like corkscrew coasters from like the 70s. This one is a little bit taller. It's got a loop and a bat wing and two corkscrews. And this one is actually surprisingly really good considering how old it is, like for an Aero looper. We rode this one three times. Um, Second seat, third seat, back seat. And I don't remember which one was. I think the front was better on this one.
Yeah, definitely. The back was okay.
It was
Front was
okay.
definitely best.
Hmm. Um, the only reason you'd ride in the back is if you want to get like whipped over the hills, but there aren't really a lot of like big hills in this one except for the first drop. It's mostly just all about the inversions. Um, but I don't know. I really like this one. I think the layout was good. The block break kind of kills the momentum through the second half. And if they could figure out a way to turn that off because they're only running one train on it anyway, that would be ideal. Um, but I like this coaster a lot. I gave this one a B plus.
Yeah, I would agree with B plus.
Yeah. So, next on the list, another non-coaster ride we did just because we had the time. We went on Silver Bullet, which is an Enterprise ride. I hadn't ridden on an Enterprise since I was probably like 10 or something, so it'd been ages I'd been on one of these. And it turns out they're not very fun.
Well, okay. I enjoy the Witch's Wheel at Cedar Point still. It's just that this one was a bit extreme.
I don't think I've been on Witch's Wheel in like 20 years, so it's hard for me to
Yeah.
compare the two. But yeah, this is just like if you like having the same continuous like lateral forces on you for like 2 minutes straight, I guess this is the ride for you. It didn't do a whole lot for me. I was kind of miserable the whole time. So yeah, I gave this one a D plus. I did not enjoy my experience on it.
I would agree. I typically, or not typically, in the past, I have enjoyed Enterprises before, but this one was just, I don't know if I'm just getting older or what, but yeah, I agree with D plus on this.
Yeah, kind of sad because I don't. Again, these are our opinions, and there are plenty of people who are riding it who probably had a great time. So I don't know, just not for me, and that's okay. All right, next, have to include a slide for lunch, because I did that in the last coast report. We didn't do anything super fancy. There really aren't a lot of great food options at Darien Lake, so we just went to one of the like uh, very standard, fries and hot dogs kiosks. Um, got some cheese pumped out of a big plastic container, and then got some chili pumped out of another big plastic container, which is kind of concerning because that's not how I would expect them to serve chili, by pumping it out of a big plastic container. But that's what you get. Not a whole lot to say here. Pretty average. Um, I didn't ask you. You had a black bean burger, and I don't remember
Yes,
if I asked you if it was any good or not.
I had a black bean burger, and it was a bottom bun, a burger patty, and a top bun.
Oh yeah, there were no toppings on this burger.
Nothing.
It was the saddest thing.
And so what I did is I took both the top and the bottom of the bun and rubbed it in the chili cheese, and that was my topping. And it was all right.
Yeah,
I mean, I obviously would have liked some, like actual toppings on it, but it was an okay burger. I
the
would give it a C. Is acceptable.
yeah the place we ate at, they didn't serve burgers normally. It was only like sausages and fries and something else. So they wouldn't have had burger toppings anyway. But yeah, nothing really else to say about lunchtime.
No.
All right. So after that, we actually rewrote a couple previous rides. I think after lunch is when we tried to ride Ride of Steel for the second time, and you guys got kicked off, but I got to ride it. I don't remember like the exact order offhand. I have it all written down because not that it really matters. Oh, we rode Viper again after lunch, and then Moto Coaster again, and then because there were still more things to do and not a whole lot, still more non-coaster rides to ride on. We did Blast Off, which is an S&S space shot. If you're familiar with Power Tower at Cedar Point, it's the same thing, except there's one of them, and it's about half as tall. I think you looked at the exact height.
It wasn't half as tall. No. This was I think 185 and Power Tower's 240.
Oh, okay. So
But it's
still,
decently close.
yeah.
It's just
It's just
okay.
that it doesn't look nearly as impressive when there's only one tower and it doesn't have that like dome thing over top of it.
No.
Yeah. And this was also our longest wait at 25 minutes. I think it was about 25 minutes. And
I had 28, but yes, it
28.
was the
Okay.
longest wait.
I didn't have it memorized, but that's definitely the highest wait time to enjoyment ratio out of any other ride in the park. Because I thought this one was pretty uninteresting. It's you go up and you go down, and that's all there's to it. I gave it a C minus.
That I think is accurate. Andrew, do we need to scold Techno Fuzzy for playing RCT World and like giving them money for that abomination of a ride?
We do, yeah. That's very shameful. Yo,
Yeah.
Bilky Asco with the rate of 16. What's up, everybody?
Oh my.
You're
My.
we're doing the coaster report today. You unfortunately have missed the first half. We are talking about our trip to Six Flags Darien Lake yesterday. So if you'd like to see the first half, you can go back and rewatch the VOD. But we got to plow through because we got some more rides to talk about. After we did Blast Off, the Predator was open. It was closed at the beginning of the day, which was kind of a bummer because I had really wanted to ride it. And while we were waiting in line for Blast Off, we started to see some test trains going through, and I got very excited. And by the time we got off Blast Off, Predator was open, and I was very excited to get on it. So this is a Din Corporation wooden coaster from 1990. So for your Cedar Point comparison, Mean Streak was built 1 year later, same company, same designer. So pretty similar in like height and intensity. This is like a double out and back, and it's a wooden coaster.
Yep.
I liked it, but it really beats you up. I had a bit of a headache when we got off of it, but aside from that, I thought it was actually pretty enjoyable. I gave this one a B.
I think B. I would maybe even go B minus.
Yeah,
It was a bit rough.
I know I enjoy wooden coasters more than you do, and I dislike the fact that it's so rough, but at the same time, I still really enjoy it anyway for some reason. So I don't know. I had a good time on this one. This is the only coaster we only rode once, because it was closed half the day, and I don't know if I'd want to have ridden it again, just because the headache that I had after that ride persisted until like that evening, which is not a good sign.
Yep.
I'm feeling better now, but
Yeah. I had a headache from it might have been the Boomerang until we got to the airport, and then we got on the plane, and then I had like sinus pressure headaches from the plane, and my face still hurts from
no.
something. Yeah. I don't know if it's the plane or the rides or what, but yeah, not feeling great still.
Yeah, but if you do happen to go to Darien Lake in the next couple of years, they are going to be doing some work on this coaster. They're not RMCing it, but Great Coasters International is going to be replacing some of the track with steel track. So that could be interesting. They're like semi-hybridizing it. Yeah.
Interesting.
It's super interesting. I don't know how it's going to go, but I'd be kind of curious.
An interesting RMC for sure.
I don't know if it's big enough to RMC. Maybe it is. I don't know if Darien Lake can afford it.
Yeah, it seemed my thought on Darien Lake was it just seems like that park is so poor and set to close any minute now.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll talk about when we get to our final thoughts and stuff. I think that was the last unique ride that we rode. Yeah. So a couple things we didn't ride. The most unfortunate thing, the thing I was most bummed about, was that Tantrum, their Gerstlauer Eurofighter, was closed for the day. Didn't say why. And this is the one that I was most excited to ride. It's the orange-green one in that first picture. I've never ridden a Eurofighter before. They look super fun. And I was really pumped to go to this park, like mostly to ride Tantrum, and we didn't get to do it. So that was sad. I guess in the off season, there's like a whole section of the park with like the kiddie rides and stuff that they just close off. I guess they didn't have the staffing to handle all that stuff. So there's a whole section closed off, which included Mind Eraser, their Vekoma SLC. And from what I read, it's awful. And SLCs have a bad reputation anyway, but I still wanted to ride it. Just, yeah. Just because it's, I really liked the SLC that was at Jogga Lake, and I don't know. So I kind of have a soft spot for that kind of ride, and I was kind of hoping to ride it, but oh well. And then similarly, Hoot and Holler, which is a credit. The junior coaster was closed, and then two other coaster adjacent rides: the Rolling Thunder, which is a giant loop, so it's just a vertical loop, and there's a crane that goes through it. That was closed. And Moose on the Loose, which you had a buddy that said we needed to ride if it was open, but it was not.
Yes.
It's a kid's ride, 100%. I looked at some photos of it. It's like a powered steeplechase, but not really. It like goes really slow around a track, but you ride on a little moose. It looked hilarious and would have been fun to get on, but
shoot, now I need to look at a POV of that because I forgot to do that.
Yeah, definitely look at some POVs of that. Yeah, so we walked up to the Tantrum entrance to get this photo. We watched the POV of it while we were standing there, being sad. So, but we got to ride all but two of the big coasters, which isn't bad. So here are my rankings. I'm gonna give you of all the rides we read. You could probably guess kind of what my rankings are based on the letter grades. But overall, I feel like there wasn't anything that was like stand out fantastic, but there also wasn't really anything that was stand out horrible. Everything was just kind of okay to good, which, you know, is is what it is. So Silverbolt in last place. The Enterprise, like I said, didn't like that at all. Blast Off, Boomerang, Skyscreamer, and Predator, rounding out my bottom 5. And my top 3 rankings, this might be different for you, Evan, were number 3, Moto Coaster, number 2, Ride of Steel, and number 1, my favorite, was Viper. But I think these top 3 are all like super close, kind of interchangeable.
Yeah,
I don't know
I
if
would
you
definitely
have
agree
any.
with that. No,
You,
no, I don't know what I would put 1, 2, and 3, but I definitely agree those are the top 3, and they're all very close.
mm,
Ride of Steel, I feel like I would put third, mostly just due to a technicality of the ride trains being too small.
mm,
Moto Coaster, I would also put third because it has potential and wasn't super great. And Viper, I would probably put first, I guess.
mm.
So Moto Coaster and Ride of Steel tie for third, and
Yeah,
nothing gets second.
I feel like Viper I had low expectations for, and it surpasses expectations quite a bit, which is why I had such a good experience
Yes,
on it.
exactly.
And Ride of Steel had like the opposite problem. I had high expectations for it, and it didn't quite meet them. So I didn't like it as much for that reason. But it's still a very good ride. I know it's a lot of people's favorites at Darien, like of the some of the reviews I looked at. But like I said, they were all good. None of them were like standout fantastic, but they were all very good rides. And we rode them several times because, you know, not only because the lines were non-existent, but also because we liked them. So
Yeah. Okay, I just completed the Moose on the Loose POV video, and I gotta
mhm.
say, we didn't miss much. Um, but also the most ridiculous thing is that yeah, you're riding a giant moose. That's the car you're on, but the moose is like fake galloping, and so the entire ride you are bouncing up
You're
and
like
down and up and
going
down and up and down, like all the way
just
around the
back and
track.
forth. Awesome.
Yeah, yeah. It like the whole thing just like it's like you're on a Ferris wheel, not a Ferris wheel, sorry, a merry-go-round, but
Mm,
higher velocity, and it's just ridiculous.
man, I
Yeah,
don't know
no,
if they'd
screw
even
that.
let. I don't know if they'd even let you ride it, or either of us ride it.
Oh yeah, I
Because
bet
like
they would.
this is a ride made for children. You're a 6'5" adult male. Please
There's no maximum height limit.
don't abuse our rides. I don't. If there isn't a maximum height, then sure, but there might have been. I don't know. Okay, so anyway, final thoughts about the park. I think in general we had a pretty good time. Mostly because I think a lot of it was because we went in the off season. The first several hours of the day, the park was like super empty, so we got to go on like everything that we wanted pretty easily. Um, that being said, like it's not a flagship park, right? It's a park that not a lot of people heard of, and because it's it doesn't really have the same kind of quality as a lot of the better Six Flags and Cedar Fair parks. So if you're in the area, if you happen to be in Western New York for some reason, if you're visiting Buffalo maybe for a week or something, and you got some time to spare, I think it's worth the drive out just to check it out. Because yeah, like I said, we had a pretty good time, but it's not something that I would want to make a special trip for. Um,
Definitely not.
because yeah, it's got some decent rides, but it's kind of a dumpy park, and I don't want to mean that in like too derogatory of a way, but you could tell that like they don't maintain it as well as Cedar Point. Like we're very spoiled that we live in Ohio and we've gone to Cedar Point a whole lot, and that's kind of our bar for all of our theme park expectations.
Yep.
Um, and this one is definitely way down the list as far as like upkeep and operations quality, clientele, that kind of stuff. So
I I was fascinated to see the park director help loading trains on Viper.
yeah, the park director was working in the Viper station, personally loaded my harness in. He complimented my Geauga Lake shirt, which I found amusing. So, but yeah, so If you do want to go, yeah, like I said, if you're in the area, maybe check it out. Keep your expectations low, like I have in my bullet point here, and you won't be too disappointed.
So, okay,
um,
I'm reading the comment from the one and only here, though, about his experience at Magic Mountain. He said it was dead, 10-minute wait time, half the coasters closed, restaurants closed, bathrooms nasty. You know,
ooh,
that the last time I've been to Magic Mountain twice now, and that was not my experience either time. It was packed, everything was wide open, park was in pretty great shape, but
huh?
this was pre-COVID. So
Mm.
I'm wondering if Darien Lake normally sees better ridership and more people and more stalls
So,
open and all the
well,
rides open during a
yeah.
regular season.
Well, like I said, we went in September, which is the off season. They're not
Also
open,
true.
you know, they weren't open every day of the week. They're just open on weekends. They also were completely closed last year because of COVID. Um,
Oh, and also Six Flags just bought them. So like this was Six Flags' first year owning them again. I'm
yeah.
pretty sure.
So Darien Lake actually has a pretty interesting history. If you like go to their Wikipedia article and read about it, they were owned by like five different companies over the years. In the '80s, they were owned by I think it was called shoot like
Funcourt?
Fun Time or Fun Fair, whatever. A company which owned at the time Darien Lake, Geauga Lake, and what is now Zambezi Bay, the Columbus Zoo, which is super interesting because those are like three places I've been to. Um, and then it was owned by Six Flags for a few years, and I think the '90s, I want to say. I don't remember. I read about this earlier today, and I've already forgotten. Six Flags couldn't handle it, so they sold it again, and then they bought it back a couple of years ago. So they've had kind of a tumultuous history, I suppose. And then yeah, like I said, they were closed because of COVID last year, so their maintenance has been, at least for a very recent period of time, has been kind of iffy. And you could tell like there was a lot of landscaping that needed done and stuff like that. But that didn't really negatively impact my experience a whole lot because I don't really care about that kind of stuff too much. But it just depends on what's important to you, I suppose. But what was nice, the other thing I have here, check the Six Flags experience availability webpage. Six Flags has a page where you can go to, and it'll tell you before you even get to the park like what's open that day, which is super handy. So we could tell that we were gonna be disappointed ahead of time that Tantrum was closed. But that we knew to expect that the kiddie area and minor area should be closed, which is just nice to help plan around. Yo, Romulus, thanks to the resub. 8 months. Good lord, that's a long time. Um, Anywho, I think that's the end of my slideshow. So, I will now take questions from the chat because I haven't actually been reading chat on a whole lot. Um, but yeah, so that was our Darien Lake experience. Any other final thoughts from you, Evan?
I think keep your expectations low is kind of harsh.
It
I
is,
think
yeah. No, you're right. It is harsh.
if you were to go during a regular season and all of the rides open, they've got a Eurofighter, they've got a decent Woody, they've got a
Hmm.
couple sweet steel rides and a couple unique experiences.
Yeah.
So I think it would definitely be worth going to if you're in the area. But don't expect Cedar Point. I'll definitely say
Yeah,
that.
don't. Yeah, that's true. Like I said, we're very spoiled, and we need to, I guess, keep our expectations realistic. Maybe is a better way of putting it.
Yeah.
Um,
And yes, the one and only I am his brother. I'm not
yeah,
Romulus.
no, he's the other
Romulus is
brother.
yes. There are three of us. Did they have a log ride? I
They
don't
did,
remember if I saw a log ride, but I saw
they
like a
had
splashdown.
they had a splashdown, yeah, splash boats kind of ride. I don't remember if they had a log ride.
I think they did, but got rid of it.
Yeah, it was hard to say because there was a water park section which wouldn't have had a water ride, but that was or a log ride which was closed. The kiddie area was all closed, and if they had a log ride, it would have been in there probably, but we couldn't even walk into that area, so it's hard to say. I didn't look. I guess I have the Wikipedia article open right here. I could just search for the word log. Oh, they did. They did have a log ride. A log flume was open from 1981 to 2017 called Thunder Rapids.
Oh,
But
also don't forget they had a go-kart track.
yeah, They had a
which
GoPro
was
track.
which was closed. So that's another cool thing.
Yeah, I did. I forgot all about that. I didn't even mention it.
It looks like they had a River Rapids ride as well. I don't know if that's still open. I'm looking at an old map.
Oh, how much? So parking was $20, which is kind of steep.
If
Entrance
you
fee.
paid online, it was 15.
Oh yeah, we didn't do that. What was super? So how much was the entrance fee? This was interesting. Um, the so if you went to the guest relations booth to buy tickets, they were $60. But if you stood in front of guest relations with your phone and bought tickets online, it was 35, which is a huge difference in cost. I don't know why they're so much different online versus in person. So like we went to the booth and we're like, hey, we want 4 adult tickets, and they're like, they're $60, but buy them online, and we're like, okay, so we did. It was really stupid. Um, but for $35, I think we got our money's worth. I would say.
Oh, we definitely got our money's worth for sure.
But we also lucked out that, yeah, like I said, off season, so it wasn't super crowded. The weather was great. Um, New York is a little bit cooler than here in Ohio, so we had temperatures in like the lower 70s all day. It was overcast most of the day, and the forecast was rain for like the week leading up to it, which I think scared some people off, and it didn't actually rain, so that was nice. But yeah,
There was another question. Did they offer flash passes? And yes, they did.
they did.
Despite having only like 5-minute lines, people
There were
bought them.
there were people with fast passes. I'm hoping those people were already like gold pass or whatever they're called, holders or season ticket holders. Like, hopefully those people did not buy fast passes for just that day, because you did not need them. It would have been a enormous waste of money.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think that's gonna do it. I think that's all I have to talk about.
Yeah.
Unless you have any other last minute comments. How many Six Flag parks have you been to? So I've been to two. I've been to this one, and I've been to Jog Lake when it was owned by Six Flags back in
Uh,
the mid 2000s.
are you sure about that? Let me
Is there
see.
another one that I've been to? I haven't been to that many theme parks.
No, there is one that we have been to.
Uh huh.
Let me see if I can find.
But
Um,
have I been there?
okay, we went. Andrew and I have an uncle that used to live kind of out west in
Mm-hmm.
like Illinois or Missouri. I cannot remember what the name of the park is, but they
Kansas.
had what?
They lived in Kansas
Yes.
many, many years ago. Now they live
They
in
had
somewhere else.
one ride, or they had two rides that I'm thinking of. They had a flying coaster themed after Superman, and then Raging Bull. That was the other one. I am trying to
Okay,
figure out
this is
which.
Six Flags Great America in
Yes,
Illinois.
yes. I have been to
Ah,
this one.
you've
I
been
think
there?
yes. Either you, I have been there. You might have been there too if we were on the same family vacation.
I don't think this doesn't look familiar at all.
It was a decade ago, at least.
Oh, it was no. I was like,
You might have been in college.
no, no way,
No, I don't.
no.
I don't
When I
remember.
went out to visit our aunt and uncle who lived in Kansas, I was like 10. So I don't think I've been here. This doesn't look familiar at all.
Well, I have, and if you were
Okay.
on vacation with us at the time, you would have as well.
Well, all right.
All right,
I
let
guess
me. I
I guess I should put that on my list of places to go in the near future, though, because Illinois, not too far from Ohio, comparatively speaking.
yeah.
So
It was a pretty sweet little park. I mean, I still remember it. A decade plus later.
yeah. So when you're talking about our aunt and uncle, they also lived in Minnesota briefly, and we visited them also when I was pretty young. We went to the Mall of America and rode the coasters in the Mall of America, but that's not a Six Flags park.
No, but also the Wisconsin Dells, not a Six Flags park, but we've been there as well.
No. And then Busch Gardens in Williamsburg, Disney World, of course.
Okay, I'm seeing a trip to Illinois, Oshkosh. Summer of 2003. That might have
Hmm.
been it.
I thought I was younger than that. Hmm. Well, anyway, point is, I don't think I've been to any other Six Flags theme parks. You have
Two, maybe three.
two, maybe three, but probably just two.
Yes, Mount Olympus. That was it. That was the park that we had been to.
Okay, that doesn't sound familiar to me. No, I know that I haven't been here, but I watched El Toro Ryan's video on Mount Olympus that came out a few weeks ago. It looks like a real fun place to go.
It's real cool if you like go-karts, that's for sure.
I do like go-karts.
Yeah, there were like three or four very unique go-kart tracks, some of which were like elevated. It was very cool.
Nice. All right, well, um, I think that's gonna do it for Coaster Report for now. Thanks everybody for hanging out and listening to my silly PowerPoint presentation. Um, thanks a bunch, Evan, for joining me and providing some commentary.
Absolutely.